shit, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing out there? This is Intergalactic Interviews, and this is episode 108, I think. Right?
Yes.
108. What?
Should have been 107.
It should have been 107. I know. Believe you and me. And that'll make a lot more sense in one moment, ladies and gentlemen. But just want to let you know, thank you for listening. Thank you for checking it out this week. Last week, all the weeks. The voice you're hearing, of course, is myself, Jayme MD. Some people call me Jayme. It's my immediate right. I got my co-host, Michael Saavedra, making his goddamn triumphant return.
Yeah.
From the throes of illness. He's doing pretty well now. Are you feeling better?
I'm doing all right. Voice is still a bit weird.
Voice still sounds kind of crazy. I'm like, yeah,
all right.
Sounds like you. That's good. And we got C-Mart behind the boards, and our guest today. He's a fantastic guy. Before we introduce him, though, should probably do a little bit of housekeeping here. Let everyone know about a fantastic opportunity. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'll probably just start talking to our guest, and then we'll introduce him properly. But if you just sit there for a little bit, Gerry, you can jump in whenever you want. It's
sure.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, if you're listening to this, you've been listening for a while, you already know what we're talking about. But maybe this is your first time hearing this, and you want to jump on board. This is the premier offer we can give you for isolation tank experiences. This is fantastic time. If you want to do something that's going to better your own body, mind, soul, and just give you a feeling of fulfillment that nothing else really out there can, you want to check out floathouse.ca. Floathouse.ca is where you want to go and find out all the information on isolation tank experiences. What is that? They said out there in unison. Well, let me tell you right now. You jump into a tank, you unlock the mysteries of the universe, and you find yourself in a better place than when you went inside. Now, how can I possibly make that sound better? Just the universe unlocking. It's like one of the best features to that. The thing I like about it the most is you get your own private float tank room stall. You have your own, you get house coats, towels, fresh, clean, everything. Your own private shower. It's amazing. It's like one of the best experiences you can do. It's like a spa for your mind. Treat yourself. We float, you float. We should all float. And if right now you want to act on that and you want to get 20% off your next float, all you have to do is go to floathouse.ca. Michael Saavedra, what was that website?
That would be floathouse.ca.
Yes, sir. And you know what? I think when you go there, you should probably tell them the podcast promo code.
That'd be all right.
Yeah. What is that podcast promo code?
If you type in II Podcast.
Yes, II Podcast, and they'll get you 20% off your next float. Go to floathouse.ca right now. Do not wait. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we love you. Thanks for checking that out. Okay, on to our guest. This is a long time coming. And once you realize the nature of this episode, you're going to say, God damn, that is a long time coming. It just makes a lot of sense. I'm a huge Jack Daniels fan, as you may or may not know out there. I've been following the brand and supporting it in many various ways for a long time.
What's your most common way of support?
Probably by ordering my classic Double Jack in the Rocks, no lime, no straw. That's a good one. Double Jack in the Rocks, no lime, no straw.
Drinking your weight in it.
Drinking my goddamn weight. Just enjoying it, in a casual nature. That's right. Anyway, we're here with our very good friend, and I always try to do alliteration here. I'm going to say the brilliant brand ambassador of Jack Daniels here. Wow. Gerry Jobe, ladies and gentlemen. Please give it up.
How you doing, man?
How you doing, sir?
Salute.
Yeah, let's get a cheers on that.
Cheers, guys. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me in.
Cheers. There you go, brother.
Stoked to be here.
Yeah, man.
These cups are amazing.
Gerry Jobe.
It's very clinky in the mics, by the way.
Good.
Just an FYI.
I'm glad
I like that. I like that.
Sounds like Julian's in the room. How you doing, Bobs? Yeah. So I should start out by saying Gerry Jobe comes in here and immediately hooks up the situation. Just these glasses, Jack Daniels glasses. I don't know if you can get them on camera here.
Here.
Is it both sides? Yeah, it's kind of condensation. Might not be able to see.
No, you can see
Jack
it.
Daniels. Jack Daniels actually in the cup. Amazing. He brought mix. This guy goes right to work. As soon as he gets here, he's like, look at a Mitch. Can I get you mix? Can I get you this? We got this going.
Yeah, there's no messing around.
I got this. Can I show this?
Yeah, of course. Of course you can.
I got this amazing. Look at this backpack. Just
swag bag,
full to the brim. Full to the brim. There's just
Bage du swage, as they say in France.
Tons of stuff in here. I could spend the whole episode going through it, but He's got shirts in here.
It might not be the best podcast. Then it's like, oh, look at this shirt.
It's an unbagging.
Let me tell you about this umbrella.
Yeah, I'm just gonna open it in here.
Yeah.
It's like,
Look how functional this is. Like, it's amazing. Yeah. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm really good.
We're
Yeah,
so happy
awesome.
to have you on the show, man.
I'm
It's
really
like-
excited to be here.
Yeah, dude.
Finally.
But it's been a long time coming, but we got everything cleared at the highest levels.
It's a 150-year-old brand, and you got to go through the jump through the hoops and make sure everybody's cool and everyone's happy with
I certainly appreciate
everything.
that.
So we're stoked to be here.
I like the idea that on some level, Intergalactic Interviews came across someone's desk and they're like, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, no, somebody in Louisville today,
Yeah, wow.
in Kentucky,
Nice.
the head of our PR and legal down there was crossing the T's and dotting the I's and checking out your interviews and being like, yep, absolutely, yep. So
Good stuff. Look at that.
we got to go ahead.
That's good. Well,
Yeah.
just let everyone know this is our last episode ever. That's good. We've achieved all our goals.
The Black Ops helicopters are coming down now, and
Yeah, I gotta say, it's probably obviously a moot point at this point, but I'm such a huge fan of Jack Daniels. I have been for a long time. It's pretty much almost synonymous with my own name. When some people have a hard time being bought for with like gifts and stuff like that. It's like for me, there's like Jack Daniels and the Habs. It's like I like two things that people are like, okay, those, like I know he likes those things. Jack Daniels for me is just a different kind of alcohol experience. Some people like to drink beer and it's like a social casual thing, and of course I love Jack Daniels in that manner, but there's something about sipping Jack and just I don't know, it's just puts me on like another level. Like
well, it certainly resonates, like especially when you go down there. When you go down there, it's when you're down in Tennessee and you're at the distillery and you're meeting these people, and then you come back a second time and they know your name.
Yeah.
They're not even like paying attention to what you're doing. They're just saying hi to you. They're yelling across the grounds of the distillery, "Hey, Jerry!" And you're like, "Hey, Goose!" Like,
Yeah.
it's very small town. It's very
Hey Goose.
right. Yeah,
there a goose down
there's
there?
a goose down there. Yeah, there's a few characters
course,
down there
there
that are
is.
well known. I mean, almost everybody there. Lynchburg itself and the distillery is so small, but it's about 371 people making this stuff, working down there at the distillery. So I mean, there's 6,000 people in Moore County, but only like just shy of 400 run everything. And when you see the craftsmanship that goes into making our own barrels, and you see 8 or 9 people on our bottling line, and you understand that that's it. There's no big factory over the hill with the Lorax protesting. You know what I mean? Like, it's like really small town craftsmanship.
Everyone needs a need.
And I think exactly. It is the thing that everyone needs, right?
This guy dropped a Lorax
Right,
reference.
absolutely. But I think that resonates with the brand worldwide. I don't know whether it's just on a subconscious level or whatever, but I think there's a lot of people like yourself. I get approached all the time. Oh, my belt buckle. Oh, I've had this for like 15 years. Oh, I'm a Tennessee squire. I own a plot of land there. Oh, my wife knows that Christmas, birthday, anniversary, everything. It's always I know what I'm getting. And everyone always asks, I've had a lot of them say, everyone asks, is that okay? I hope that's okay. He's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted. I know what I'm getting
exactly
every
it.
year
Yeah.
for Christmas or Halloween. Not Halloween, but on Christmas or an
You
anniversary.
get it for Halloween.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'll accept gifts on Halloween.
Yeah.
he actually got the Texas Mickey of Jack
yeah.
Daniels on Halloween as
There it
as a
is.
gift
Yeah.
a few years back.
Yeah, we usually have
That is a dangerous gift, though,
very
for anybody.
Well, and it's also like the bat signal too. Like, you're in a place and you're like, and you see Jack and you're like, oh, I gotta get that for so and so, because they'll freak out if they get it. Right?
That's exactly it. Like there's so many positive qualities to it, but it's such a classy. Like, I just like being. I like being even like associated with my passion with it, because, like, here's a good story. I read this a couple of years ago. Maybe you could verify this
I'll
fix it.
quantify anything.
Yeah. This author in the United States had put out a book, and the book jacket, like a lot of intellectual property out there.
You're talking about Neil Strauss?
Was it Neil? I don't know the name of the author, but someone had put out a book jacket, and it was like pretty much exactly the Jack Daniels logo.
The Dirt.
Was that it?
Yeah, Motley Crue, Neil Strauss. Yeah.
Was it? So it was the actual deal yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking my head off here.
That's okay.
All
No, carry on. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
So no. Like, I'm glad you clarified. That's what I need. The thing is, they served a cease and desist, but not in the crazy lawyer mode that you guys were thinking at home, like you better stop this right now, cease all production. It's not like that. It was like, hey, we just want to let you know we recognize that you have an affinity for Jack Daniels as much as we appreciate you as a customer, and we'll actually pay for your run. Like to redo the run or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was like,
that might not be Neil Strauss, because we've always had a really good relationship with Motley Crue, and I believe that was one of the things that we were like, that our legal department were like, cool. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
you guys have done more than your fair share of supporting us over the years, and like
put a fair dent
we won't
into
officially. I mean, I can't speak to that. That's something that legal would have to speak to. But I know that because I put up my hand. At a conference once, and I was like, just wondering how Motley Crue got away with that. And they were like,
exactly.
But we worked really well with that band.
Yeah.
So
it was an author. I'm thinking now, it probably wasn't the Motley Crue thing, but it was probably like a little short run publishing thing. But someone had posted the letter online, and it was like the nicest worded cease and desist, but it wasn't barely a cease and desist. It was more like, hey, look, we recognize you're a fan.
Yeah.
If you just put a stop to this run right now, we'll pay for your next run, and just blah blah.
I mean, you have to protect your IP, right? You can't, if you don't do it, you can lose it, right? So you have to defend it.
How cool is that, though, that for them, like, just to be like, hey, we'll take care of you that way, like, because, like,
Well, I mean, it's one of the most imitated iconic logos of all time. I mean, there's rarely a day I walk down the street where it doesn't catch my eye, and I'm like, hey, and then I'm like, oh no, that is not a Jack Daniels shirt, but it is something that looks like a Jack Daniels logo, almost identical, but it's got like, something, because it's been mimicked so much.
It's one of the most like reproduced like rock shirts like of all time.
Oh,
like
for
with
sure.
the band name and the same thing. Like it's
pretty much synonymous, right?
Yeah, it's for me, I don't know, like I started drinking Jack because I wanted to drink something that I like at the time. Everyone I was drinking with, like when I started drinking, was like they all drank their own certain brand or something like that. But I wanted to like stand out from that. I wanted to have my own taste, and more importantly, I wanted to have something that I knew, people with maybe lighter tolerances weren't just going to immediately try and steal at the party or something like that. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to go for it, and that's kind of where that originated, and it's been serving me well ever since. I love it, man. I love it. And the thing I like about the diversification of the brand is when you get into like the regular number 7, and then you have your Gentleman Jack and Single Barrel and Deluxe and like whatever the hierarchy is in terms of the taste. You actually do start to develop like an affinity for it, and because like someone who doesn't drink it ever is just gonna be like, oh, it tastes like Jack, but it's like, no, you could definitely taste like
the subtleties and the differences between the different styles. Yeah, for sure.
I got engaged last fall, and my now fiance, surprised me with a bottle of Sinatra Select.
Oh, lucky you!
God damn,
lucky you!
So that was a great weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was blown away by that.
And quite hard to find nowadays. Actually, I think we're down to our last maybe couple bottles in BC. So
yeah, it was. I was very surprised, and it's got a great book. The book inside,
inside,
so amazing. Yeah, it like tells all the stories about how Frank got involved with it.
Well, and he was for me coming onto the brand and learning more about it, and especially now that I'm in an ambassador role, like he was our very first ambassador. Like when he first discovered it through Jackie Gleason. He was sitting with Jackie Gleason. He's like, I want a real drink, and Jackie Gleason was like, well, you got to have Jack Daniels. Yeah. And he had never heard of it. And back then, it was this small 50,000 case a year kind of rural little brand, right? And we spent the next 30 to 50 years catching up with demand because of Sinatra. He had 3 to 6 cases on his plane in a private cargo all the time. He never drank from an open bottle. He would open a bottle.
Yeah, always crack a fresh one.
Drank it 3-2-1, so 3 cubes. 2 ounces of Jack, 2 fingers of Jack, 1 finger of water. That was his pre-showtime drink. He liked the clink of the ice in the glass. It always had to be perfect. He's buried with a bottle of it.
I mean, that's
ridiculous.
iconic, right?
It's crazy.
And when he took center stage and was like, hey, this is the nectar of the gods, and he held it up and proclaimed that. Back then, you have to realize that there was no bigger star than Sinatra. Everybody wanted to be Sinatra, right? Everyone was like, that guy's the coolest guy, right? And from that point on, they couldn't keep up production. They were like, how do we keep up with Frank going out and telling people that this is the nectar of the gods?
Right,
and fell behind production for about 30 to 50 years.
Because that's age to perfection. And so people like that, because I had the opportunity to visit the distillery a couple of years ago. And we're talking like in the hills surrounding the distillery are these giant barrel houses. And they're just filled to the brim with Jack Daniels. And it's in these casks that they make on site. And everything, like even the fires that are started to get the charcoal that they filter it through the fire is accelerated with Jack Daniels. Yeah, do you see? You know what I'm saying? Like everything is so in house.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy,
which is why I brought up the Lorax, because when I was down there, I had the pleasure of touring with there's 4 ambassadors in Canada, and we all went down there for our inaugural. Oh yeah, we got the job. Let's go down there, and we sat with our master distiller Jeff Arnett. And he's like, okay, usually you guys get about half hour, 45 minutes. Everybody at the company was like, we got the whole day for you. You can go to the labs. You can ask us any question. We got to see the charcoal being loaded in and the vats being filled with it, which you can never get to see. And we got to ask all the questions. And I said, seriously, is there a magic curtain where it's going to peel back and there's going to be this big factory with the hose and it's just blasting, Jack into these bottles? And it's no, that does not exist. Everything down to the spraying of the charcoal in the rick house has been done by the same 2 guys for 18 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then, I was shocked at a couple of things, like when you walk in and you see they're showing the grounds and they show you the fire cars, like the old, I'm talking turn of the century, fire truck engines, but like jalopies basically. And you're like, what's this? And the guide's telling you look, they had to have their own fire crew because that's how it's alcohol. First of all, it's the most flammable stuff ever.
Well, it's pretty funny because Jack himself was very much about that community, and whenever there was something that he found there was a void, he was like, oh yeah, I guess we should have that. So it was well, we got a fire. Okay, well, we got to have a fire brigade.
Yeah,
because
like an oil rig.
Yeah, literally, it was
it's like a self-sustaining.
We have to have a fire, and
reasonable.
even Jack's association with music, he was like, well, we have a town, we have the Red Dog and the White Rabbit Saloon, but we have no music. So we went out to Sears Roebuck with $240 and bought everybody who could sort of strum or play an outfit and bought all these musical instruments and brought them to town, and everybody learned how to play them. And then he's like, great, now we have a band. So the Silver Cornet Band was born, and it was the Jack Daniels Silver Cornet Band. They played every bar opening, across the land. They played every political stumping, whether it was Democrat or Republican. They went and were like, okay, and the band today that's introducing them is the Jack Daniels Silver Cornet Band. And he used it to promote his whiskey, obviously.
Of course.
But that was the tie-in with music. Was he was like, he wanted to be an entertainer and he wanted to have things in the community. Same thing with the fire brigade. They had a fire and he was like, well, I guess we don't have that. Let's invest some money in protecting what we have, our community.
Such a forward thinker, right? Especially if you think about the idea that he was rather small in stature. He was about 5'2", right?
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, even that's kind of short especially for a man. But back then, that would have been
today's 5'7".
In a rough and tumble era,
like me.
You're the new new standard.
I'm the new 5'2".
You're on the spectrum. The way he went about just think about how rough and tumble that era must have been.
Oh, completely.
Right?
Yeah.
And
he's not dabbling in a light spirit either.
No, that's another thing too. He had
not dabbling at all, actually.
He had the gumption.
Going fully in.
Yeah. He had the wherewithal to think to himself, look, I'm going to start this distillery, and thank you very much. He even, from what I understand, he chose the location in
based on the water.
Based on the stream, right?
Yeah, based on the hollow and the limestone beds found within. And it's funny because if you obviously you've been to the distillery, but you'll see on the side of the distillery, it's really funny going there because you just have this preconceived idea that this is some monster factory with, probably guys in suits everywhere, and you go there and it's like it's so like small town. Like, not to say that's not professional, but it's small town craftsmanship, hard work, and blue collar.
Yeah.
Like, you see the hose still coming out of the creek bed.
Yeah. Which is
out of the cave.
Astonishing.
Feeding the water right into where we make the stuff, right? And that limestone cave cuts down on all the minerality, right? Takes out all the iron, right? Because if you had iron present in a whiskey when you're aging it, obviously you're going to get rust and sediment and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And it just rots everything.
And just this does not exist. It's that's what I'm saying. The forward thinking of that. Because even like now, if someone had that, they'd be like, well, okay, yeah, of course. But like back then, there's no books on this. There's
no. He's like, I have a still. I'm 20,
Just trying to buy
between 16 and 25 years old, and I need to go find a place with good water.
And like you're surrounded by, for lack of a better, crazy shiners.
Oh yeah,
that are just like that's one of the crazy stories I pulled away from my visit down there was as you head down the road towards the distillery, you start to notice all the foliage and trees start turning black.
Yeah,
like black.
Yeah,
and you're like, it's just kind of subtle at first, and then it's all encompassing, and you start to realize that everything around you is like this dark black.
It looks like Sleepy Hollow.
That's exactly the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
that's exactly
looks
the best
like
way.
Like headless horsemen
running
through.
Headless horseman. Yeah, it's like everything looks like Ichabod Crane's coming to town, and you're looking around, and you start asking like what is this? And they're like, well, this is a natural process from the still. Like every time the still, it's very natural, but it's also, from what I understand, it's very safe, right? It's not,
completely safe. Yeah,
it's just like a protective cover.
It's like a black fungus that coats everything, and that's how they used to track moonshiners at night. They go through the forest until they start finding traces of this black fungus and be like, we're onto them.
Which is crazy, right? Because and then when you start using it, when you start thinking of the criminal element, like it's like the leavings of like some.
One of the coolest things about Jack, though, is that like you talk about how forward thinking he was. He's not known as an inventor, and he's not known as a groundbreaker. He's known, especially when you break things down, when you start breaking things down, you start looking at each individual aspect of what he did. He was just an innovator.
Completely.
Right? Very much like Steve Jobs didn't invent a lot. He just chose the best things and put them together. There was 15 other distillers in Moore County who were charcoal filtering. He didn't come up with the Lincoln County process. He just changed out his charcoal twice as much as the rest of the guys. That's why his whiskey tasted better. The square bottle. He started the square bottle because he saw it and was like, okay. And him and his nephew, Lem Motlow, debated over whether or not it should go in there, but he wanted it to stand for him being a square individual, meaning that it was equality and fairness and the clearness of the bottle, the clear bottle itself, so that people could look and see the quality of his whiskey.
A lot of bottles were like amber and green.
Everything that he was doing there, like using a proprietary yeast, most people were using the same kind of yeast strain. We still use the same yeast that he was using back then, which affects the taste of Jack. If you smell Jack, you smell bananas. That comes from the yeast that we use and the compound of the yeast that we still use. Where many companies are now using dry bagged yeast, and they're all using the same thing. So he wasn't really an inventor or a creator. He was more of an innovator. He was more like, okay, let's take all of these elements, put them together, and that's something that we can all stand behind, right?
That's right, because Steve Jobs never actually did the heavy lifting, so to speak.
No,
right?
not at all.
Everyone likes to throw this stuff on him, and he was, again, he's a forward thinker, but he didn't do the hard lifting and all that stuff. But the ideas behind that are echoing for generations now. They've impacted our world forever.
Yeah,
you think about now there are distilleries being set up that are running on essentially second generation Jack Daniels. Like, what's the one we were talking about recently, Saavedra? There's some distillery where they're using old Jack Daniels casks.
I'll tell you this.
Like, sorry, not casks, barrels.
80% of the world uses our barrels.
Barrels, right? Like,
like even just like craft beer companies and stuff. They all
they all buy it. And some of these we can only use them once, and then we sell them. So
these barrels are created. Should just like let people know, like the creation process behind the barrel is so amazing because first of all, you're a third generation barrel master.
Right.
You all you've known is making these barrels. There's no glue. There's no nails. It's only binding with
staves. Yeah. It's just taking the staves, bending, binding, charring, toasting. I mean, all that stuff is done in house, and it's done like literally by hand. You watch these guys put together a barrel. And like testing it for leaks, and then you see them like one guy when we were there, we watched him for about 20 minutes, and he was just sweating, and he was like taking these little, it looked like almost like strips. They almost were like so thin. They were so thin, and he was like stuffing the cracks with them and like hammering them in with a mallet, and was like kept just compiling these little strips of sugar maple oak, and just to make sure that it was perfect and was it was gonna fit. And he was checking the bunghole and making sure everything was. I mean, it's just to go down there and watch that, and you're like, wow, like this still exists today, and it doesn't really have to.
Yeah,
but the thing about Jack is his one of his major quotes, and if you go into his office, it's hanging on the wall, is like, every day we make it the best we can. And so the company has always stood behind the best way that we can make it is the way that we've always made it. And that's not by taking shortcuts, not even for technology's sake, even for industrialization's sake. Let's just do it the way that Jack did it.
Yeah,
which is super cool.
Which is like so cool. And just to kind of book end this kind of like little history lesson we're giving people. I read recently that did they or did they not find the safe involved in Jack
It's in his
Daniels?
office.
So it was in his office.
You can go down there and kick it yourself.
So maybe people don't know how he
got sure. Okay. So it's actually when you go.
That's a funny story, actually.
When you go there, you get to walk in, and there's Jack's desk and his office and everything. Jack found that his nephew Lem Motlow was really good at business and the day-to-day operations, and Jack was to the point where he wanted to be more of the entertainment side of things. He wanted to have parties, he wanted to entertain, he wanted people to come and hear the Silver Cornet Band and host celebration of the community, and share the love, so to speak, with what he was doing. So he kind of took that sort of elder statesman role where he went away for a little while, and then he showed back up in town with like a knee long waistcoat and a dress coat and a hat and a tie, and he went from this small little guy working his whiskey still to suddenly like, hey, I'm the man about town, and I'm going to entertain everybody.
Looking like Wyatt Earp and Tombstone.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, probably.
Right?
Actually,
yeah, right?
Yeah. They probably based him on
very Wonka-esque.
Very Wonka.
Right? The guy from The Great Gatsby.
Whiskey Wonka, maybe.
Whiskey Wonka.
But very Wonka-esque. Come to my community. Let's all share the love. I'm going to show you a good time. I have these saloons. So Lem Motlow, his nephew, was put in charge of the day-to-day stuff. And one of the things that came with Lem taking over the day-to-day was that he changed the combination on the safe. So he Jack showed up one day, went into his office, and he couldn't quite remember the combination of his safe anyway. So he's like fiddling around with it, and he got more and more frustrated because he showed up early. Nobody else was there to help him out with it. Yeah. And he got so mad at the thing that he kicked the safe. Well, time goes by, and the foot gets infected, the toe gets infected.
And what year is this roughly? So,
I believe it's 1906.
So it's like turn of the century. So like an affected toe is like might be game over.
Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like you broke your foot.
He broke his toe.
Got
blood poisoning from the safe, and now it's starting to spread. So over the next 5-6 years, it spreads up. They do some amputations on Jack. It finally spreads up to his hip, and they can't stop it anymore, and it claims his life. And sadly, I believe in 1911 it claimed his life. But the two ironies of it are, well, one irony and one sort of inside joke, I guess, and the third cool fact.
Yeah, I hope you say this part, because what I said earlier, it's a funny story. Now it sounds like I'm just laughing at his demise.
You're a real piece of shit.
The running gag at Jack Daniels, the running joke, they'll tell you this every time you go there is, so the moral of the story, folks, is don't show up for work early. It just might kill you.
Yeah.
The second irony of it is if he had soaked his toe in some of his own whiskey, it would have saved his life.
Wow, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
it would have disinfected the toe and it would have saved him. And third is that the actual black label, like you have, along with the clear bottle, back then, the labels on all the bottles were white.
Right.
Right? The actual black label on the bottle is said to be designed by Len Motlow to kind of memorialize,
like mourning
the passing or the upcoming passing of
I didn't know that.
Of Jack, of Uncle Jack.
I do know that, especially the bottles that are bottled on site, like at the White Rabbit.
Yeah.
Like they're green, right? Mm-hmm. The green labels.
The green label goes to support our troops.
Makes
in the
sense.
States, so.
They're basically our troops.
Not our troops, but I speak for the company. I speak for the troops.
Yeah, that's right. They're pretty much our troops up here in Canada too. I don't think
There's
that's not much of a stretch
until they invade us.
How dare you?
The thing about Jack is that it's got a panel of tasters. It's not aged. There's no age statement on Jack. It is aged, but there's no age statement on Jack. We don't bottle it according to an age. Mm-hmm. We do a cross section, blending and a tasting with people that have been tasting it all their lives, including Lynn Tolley, who's Jack's great grandniece. And they decide after a certain amount of blending what is Jack Daniels.
I have a cookbook signed by her, I think.
Lynn Tolley, Miss Mary Bobo's cookbook.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it was Mary Bobo's, that was one of the best dinners I've ever had.
Did you have the fried chicken?
I did have the fried chicken. Yeah. One of the greatest dinners I've ever had in my life. It was fantastic.
So good.
My fiance and I were down there, and it was just one of the most amazing. We went immediately from the distillery right across don't have to walk very far in that town, but right across the way, went right and sat down to dinner, and one of the most amazing experiences ever. It's just beautiful.
Pretty mind blowing how small it is when you get there.
Yeah, that's when you were saying earlier about like just how, if you think about the global impact that Jack Daniels has on this earth and culture, and like you're saying, the amount of people involved that actually make it, and when you see the process, like you're saying, like there's no giant hose, cauldron, nothing like that.
There's no machine pumping out barrels.
No, it's like it's all hand, It's like, if you think about that comparatively, if you look at like, I don't know, like Dell or like Chevron or Apple or something like that, where you're like these
different industries.
These major brands that are like having this pop culture influence that are like, they look what they have to do to have that type of level of influence. Whereas like Jack Daniels is like just this tight, cohesive unit that's been doing it the same way for 150
Well, I think
years,
a similar comparison would be like classic beer companies, right? Like you look at like a Molson or Alexander Keith's, whatever, and like, they have a tradition of what they're doing, but again, you pull back that curtain, and who knows, like the full process is not as traditional as you would want it to be, right? Like, it's like giant vats of giant things, and it's
they have their original. Some of these people,
but there's the idea.
Some of these companies have their original story that they go by, and then you go there and you're like, oh, okay, but now you're this gigantic beast of a machine, and you don't do it that way anymore. And you know what I mean?
You almost can if you want to keep that profit margin.
You've got your history, your kind of your museum walkthrough, and then it's like the reality. With Jack, one of the reasons that I stand proudly behind it is you go there and you have the kind of museum factor of it, and then you go and you're like, and it's still this small, and they still do it. Like,
and it blows me away, and it blows me away how knowledgeable you are. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure it's part of the gig, obviously, but like you could tell like you're not just these aren't cliff notes for you.
They're not speaking points or talking points. Even when we talk about, even when you go down there, I mean, there's a commercial out right now called Our Town, and you can look online and you can see it, or it's on TV quite a bit, and it's showing Lynchburg itself, and it says, this is how many people are in Lynchburg, or this is how many people make Jack Daniels, and then they show the town, they show all the people that work there, and then it's got the empty field with all the empty chairs, and it says, this is how many people will brag about it.
Yeah.
And that's literally the attitude that we carry when we go out globally, when the company goes out globally. That's kind of how we, I'm representing 370 plus people down there, that just go and do this because their great grandfather did it. And their grandfather did it. And their dad did it, right?
Yeah, just
and
incredible.
you go down and you talk to them, and they're like, "My first field trip was here, and this was more important than my first day at school. I was going to see where my dad worked, and my grandpa worked, and my great grandfather worked, and I knew one day that I was going to get to work here. And you're
That's
like,
incredible.
whoa, okay, cool, all right.
That's incredible.
You're real people,
When did you get on with them?
Lynchburg as a town name. It's a little intense.
yeah.
It's a little intense.
Well, it has like a long-standing history.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. It's
makes sense. When did you get involved with?
I got involved. I've been with the company for a little over 4 years now. I worked in the Okanagan as a rep for their parent company, Brown-Forman. Brown-Forman purchased Jack Daniels in 1956. I worked for them with all their brands. They're a small portfolio, but the key one being Jack Daniels.
Right.
But I was really Jack-centric and Jack-focused. And
I relate to that.
What's that?
I relate to that.
Yeah. And then I left the company for about 9 months to go do consulting, and I told them that if there was ever a chance for an ambassadorship, that I would come back in a heartbeat.
Of course, right?
It just so happened that the day before they posted the ambassador role, my contracts ran out.
Wow.
I had more contracts set up, but I had fulfilled my contracts that I had already done with my consulting, and I was like, okay, thank you very much. And it was renegotiation time of my contract, and I chose not to renegotiate, and I chose to move on and see what was next. And I had a whole bunch of other offers to go do consulting in various parts of the world and locally, and I joined LinkedIn that day, and the next morning the job popped up. I was like, LinkedIn, what is this notification? Jobs for Gerry. And I looked at it, I'm like, Jack Daniels brand ambassador.
And he never went a day again without 10,000 LinkedIn emails.
Oh, LinkedIn is the worst.
Well, that's what I thought it was. I didn't want to join, and I was coerced. I had ran into some friends, and they knew that I had just finished my contract. They were like, "Go on LinkedIn, join LinkedIn." I'm like, maybe. All right, I will. And the next morning, I got a notification on my phone, and it was for this job. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And made some phone calls and went through some interview process. And yeah,
you're very naturally outgoing. Have you always worked in like this type of role and like
service industry? Worked in the theater when I was younger. Just always been. I used to be super shy, so that kind of just brought me out of.
Really?
Oh yeah, I
can't imagine you
painfully shy.
Really?
Small and painfully shy.
What do you credit to that changing?
Probably my parents' decision to put me in a performance based high school rather than a like sports and
like
academic. Yeah.
Wow.
I was supposed to go to one high school. I went there for a day, and my parents were like, "No, we gotta take you away and put you in a theater with a good theater program."
What capacity within theater were you working?
Just like everything from writing plays to set decor. In high school, my high school, three of my high school theater professors, musical theater and drama professors, created a course called Stagecraft because I lived in the theater so much. It doesn't exist for any other student, but if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have graduated.
Really?
Yeah, because I lived in the theater. When I think from the time I was 13 to the time that I was like 18, I did 17 productions.
17? What was your first production?
My first production was a little high school one, Christmas play, and then on from there, I went into summer theater for professional theater, doing Brighton Beach Memoirs was my first one, and I ran that. We ran that for almost 3 months, and then we did an extension of it as well for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Those are great feelings when the run is extended.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I lived in the theater, and then I was always doing working on a high school production during the day and studying and reading my lines and building sets and doing stuff for a professional theater production at night. So I lived in the theater when I was a kid.
So you're like, almost like, was it a static location for a theater or was it on road?
Yeah, Shuswap Theater.
Okay.
Saavedra, BC.
So with respect to that, was was there a desire at one point within theater to like, okay, I'm either gonna branch out from this or I'm going to go like, 'cause you say you did about 17.
Oh yeah,
productions,
no,
right?
I came to Vancouver. I had the reason I moved to Vancouver was I had an in at ABC Television. They did a scouting workshop. They were very interested in me as a project for ABC Television.
Wow.
So I moved here in '95. I moved here in '90.
Was it a pilot program?
Yeah.
What was it for?
A thing called Jobe's version.
Really?
Yeah. Where they kind of wanted me to do my pitch for the show. Like they liked my writing. I wrote my own monologues for my pieces that I did for them. They really liked that. They liked my writing.
Yeah.
They wanted to know who did my writing. I said I did, and then that's kind of when it started coming together.
That's how you write your own ticket. Right?
Yeah. So then they said, well, if you're going to do a show, what would you do? And I said, well, I would do the first half hour would be the regular what actually happened, and then the second half would be my version, me telling somebody the story. And it would be like this grandiose.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it was just Jobe's version.
So
that eventually fell through. I wrote for theater. Hollywood. I wrote a couple other television projects that went the distance to Show West and stuff like that, but didn't get picked up. I went to Gastown Actors Studio here in Vancouver, did some short films and stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of.
That's how she goes sometimes. But like, here's the thing about that: some people never even sniff opportunities like that. Some people work their whole lives and never ever get approached by anyone of significance ever. That's like very incredible. And you know, I was just talking about this the other day. If I had, if my current discography within production was actually benefited by projects I've worked on that are shelved, as well as like what's actually out there. I was trying to imagine like just how much more robust of a portfolio this is, because I have projects. I work with people that are like amazing, and you know, within music, it's, you know, sometimes it's different, sometimes it's not that different from like television in terms of like a lot of times it comes down to funding, a lot of times it comes down to like who owns the rights to it and what they want to do with it, because like artists at the end of the day are like so whimsical, and that's the beauty of it. Like you want to work with someone who's like very you know, they have the fly-by-night attitude. It's like a double-edged sword. As much as it can kill you, it's like probably the best thing.
It's a very nice thing to say, whimsical. Paints it in a positive
It does.
picture.
I was trying to say it as positively as possible. Because like, same with writing and all types of stagecraft and entertainment. The people you're dealing with, you're managing expectations of these people all the time. Like the passion involved versus like the functionality and probability of it all. It's like you're dealing with so much back and forth. But you know, like I was saying, I was thinking the other day, I'm like, man, some of this stuff that happens, you just kind of have to like, at one point, you have to just eat it and be like, fuck, like this is what it is, and just kind of rock.
1,000%.
Yeah,
even yesterday, I went to see Angels in America at Studio 58, and I remember.
I saw you were in the theater yesterday.
Yeah, I remember being there. I was like August 22nd. I was there, 1994. I was there, and I was so scared. And I auditioned, and there was 148 people. And I got home, and I was one of the 28 that made it. And I got home off my vacation that summer and found the letter underneath my door in my basement suite and was like, I can't believe I'm going. And I didn't go. And then yesterday, I was walking back there going, I should have gone into theater. I should have pursued theater more. I would have loved a life in the theater. I would have loved it.
You very well could still do that.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think
Ian Fleming wrote James Bond when he was 44.
That's right. That's right. Oprah didn't become Oprah until she was well into her 30s.
That's right.
That's right.
Michael Jordan was 56 when he started playing basketball.
Do we share the same meme? Maybe. Yeah,
probably.
Ian Fleming. He. If you think about the idea that like how many people have written action films over the course of the years, right? Like if we switch mediums for a second here, all the people that have written action films, and then you look at someone like Ian Fleming who wrote novels based on the life of one spy and like fleshed out his world, and then those became films, and like the idea that like that is an original thought so much to the point that it's very hard to compare that to like almost anything else. Like it almost like fleshed like there's a whole genre It's a whole genre. How many pseudo spy films can you name that you're like that aren't James Bond?
Influenced
Right.
at least
Right.
by a
Massively.
significant margin. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of them have the same setup where it's like they have the smart older mentor guy, they have or woman, and then they have like the gadget guy, that,
The
like,
gear
hooks them up.
master.
The
Well-
gear master. Yeah.
I mean, even look at I talk to people all the time. Recently, I've said when you're a little kid and you want to have all the gadgets and you want to have all the stuff, and I mean like nowadays. I mean, I've got to like you in your backpack. You've got like a JD power bank that's like
In my
this
swag bag that you hooked me up with. Yes.
swag bag. You've got a JD power
Swag
bank that'll
Daniels.
charge your cell phone twice over, and it's
What?
It's just about I don't know, maybe
I haven't
3
even-
times the size of a credit card.
Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't even gone through this yet.
I mean, we have all of the gadgets. Like 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, if I were to pull this out and be like,
What is that? You get a camera on
check
that?
out my cool USB drive.
What is that? You get a camera on that there, killer?
You know, it's all of this stuff that nowadays I'm like,
Oh, that's nice.
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, actually.
But like 10 years ago,
Is it
you're
super
like,
bendy? It looks bendy.
it's like the size of a credit card. It's
but does it bend?
yeah, I mean it's plastic. It can bend.
Oh yeah.
right?
Okay. Sorry. It looked like you.
But I mean, like even your power bank for your phone, we have all of this technology now that James Bond or Q would have hooked us up with back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Money
like
penny.
we've got like the cool like little lasers and LED keychains and all sorts of every app that you could ever want, and we've got something that'll tell us the music. What is this song? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we've got all the gadgets that if you think about it, when you're watching 24. They were still using fax machines and like really old flip
Isn't
phones.
that strange?
And, like,
That they're still using like stuff that within the span of the show has like been completely made
Like, obsolete.
Yeah, completely
Obsolete.
Totally irrelevant. It's very
that
that's
almost
weird,
speaks
right?
to like the
Yeah.
writing of the show, though, right?
That's
like
true.
they weren't. The consultation was not extensive.
right.
You know what I mean? They're like, what's going on right now? Okay, well, can't get better than that. Let's keep going with this.
Well, you know what's funny is a lot of times at this point of this type of topic, people will point to like Star Trek and they show like pads and
Yeah.
tablets, and then they show like phones and cell phones, communicators, all that stuff. But I like to think about it from the other side. Maybe Gerry, maybe you can relate to this as a writer. The forward thinking that it takes, back to that point, the forward thinking it takes just to have, like, you have a futuristic setting, right? So when you're doing like on-screen hails where you're having video chat, things we are using now, and like Skyping and things like that. Skype is like such an amazing tool, but its day-to-day use for some people is like you may as well, it's like it's like
Non-existent.
it's almost like not as
Applicable.
right. But here's this technology that's like totally capable of replacing all facets of like our old technology, but we're still using certain things. I find that fascinating about human selection. Like we use it's like a phone. A phone will always be a phone. Like these guys give me shit because I still call them.
It's
Okay.
annoying. It's
Like
annoying.
I'll call them. I'll be like, hey, show tonight is rescheduled to this, this, and this. You're like, just text me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
But I'm like, I don't want to text you because if I text you, then you might not get it. If I call
I have a read receipt. I let you know that I've read it.
how dare
It
you?
still calls me.
How dare you come to me with your read receipt?
Still
Yeah.
calls me.
We also have a chat line that goes all the time.
Well, the other thing
Foot
is
right
now.
beside when we
Well,
read it.
now the other thing is you can just invite everybody to a group on
Yeah,
any sort
true.
of social platform.
No, it's true.
But it's very true what you said. Like you're not going to use back in the day. It was like I can't wait to get a Sony Watchman. I'm gonna have TV on my phone in my hand. Like I'm gonna have a Walkman or a Discman, and it's gonna have a television on it. I'm gonna watch cable. Well, now you can like program your own television like anytime you want. Endless entertainment at your fingertips. But the strange thing is that now it's funny because texting is especially broken down texting, and now even emojis speak more for us than the actual thing that we wanted, which was FaceTime.
That's actually and that's what I'm
To the
saying.
point we're getting rid of cursive in elementary schools.
The human selection, which is so fascinating about that, is you're right. It's like memes and emojis are replacing full interaction.
Yeah.
And we have this technology that allows you to, like, we can video chat through a number of different social apps. I say Skype, but you can, like, for lack of a better word, you can Skype with anyone on anything.
Pick a thing.
Pick a thing. You got it. I think you may have pocket dialed me video chat.
I did,
today.
yeah,
You
I did.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And I was like, oh, Gerry Jobe, he wants to have a video chat.
And there's
Right.
his keys.
Yeah. I was like, hey, let's go.
Hopefully.
It's just like keys.
He's got
just like,
great pocket
Yeah, I
lighting.
gotta go to this goddamn podcast tonight. It's like, yeah. No, the
Podcast.
The idea though, but like, yeah, those emojis. Back to Star Trek. There's a great episode, The Next Generation, called Darmok. You familiar with this one?
Sorry, I speak Star Wars.
That's okay. That's okay. I speak that language too. I'll get you on board. That's okay. But listen, this episode, this race they encounter only speaks in what we nowadays in 2016 would describe as memes. It's the only way to
Okay.
describe it. The best way to describe it is like they use stories in their culture to explain their emotions. So like the example they give in the show is like, it's like, it'd be like if I said to you, Juliet on her balcony. You know that we're talking about love,
Yeah.
romance, that kind of thing. But they're speaking in like these full like phrases, like
Oh, they're phrasing it out.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, like all
Yeah.
these like crazy whatever phrases. But that's like kind of what our culture is right now. We're like
Right.
turning this weird thing into like if you
But
see
it's universal language in that way.
true,
It transcends like our dialects.
hieroglyphics.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
right. It is
Sure.
hieroglyphics.
They would be so amazed that we
Yeah,
had
yeah,
gone
yeah.
all this way through cursive
Or,
and the canon and all of this grand language
Mm-hmm.
expression of language, and suddenly when we got to technology and everything that we ever wanted to express we could, and it boiled down to LOL.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Or like a meme or a GIF or an emoji.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
apparently,
They'd be
like
dog head, sideways.
Mandarin,
yeah,
Mandarin
like this.
apparently is very story driven like that as well, right? Like it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
like image based.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, for sure with the all
Yeah.
the characters, right? But
Yeah, I saw a TED Talk once on Mandarin, how to learn Mandarin very quickly, and it was showing it just showed 10 words in a row, but they all kind of are used within each other, essentially, like man, manufacture, man,
Okay.
like that kind of thing, like so you can be like, I'm like you, man, you factor, and then factual, and it's like showing you all these different words, and then you start to see the similarities between these symbols, and like if you don't speak or write Mandarin, like I'm sure most of us don't do in this room, you start to see like, oh, okay, that doesn't actually seem that complicated, and then once you start to understand the meme culture behind it, it's like it's pretty wild. But
Language is so powerful.
it is very, very powerful. I think. What do you think the next step is? Do you think we become so isolated within a virtual reality that we no longer determine that we're going to collectively evolve, or do you think that the next evolution is that we collectively evolve and forego concepts like language and we just go right to thought? We're just connecting via thought. Like we'll all be in this room, and it'll be more commonplace for us all to be texting this conversation to each other, all of us. And
my cousin
that.
had a very interesting. My
Yeah.
cousin, his name's Zach Wolk. He goes by @Optimisto. If you want to look at some really crazy, not crazy, but really
Optimist?
Optimisto.
Optimisto.
@Optimisto.
Is he like a forward-thinking kind of guy?
Very much so. And he lives in California, or actually lives in Seattle now. He just moved. But he put me on to the theory, a really nice theory about memes that has got me kind of accepting them. Because I was always like, Facebook, help yourselves guys tomorrow, Jack. It's like, Facebook, it's just become, I said, Facebook, I'm getting so bored with social media. It's just become everybody posting memes, and often they're the same memes. And he's like, yeah, but that's angel language.
Yeah.
And I said, what?
Angel language.
And then he's like, yeah, man. He goes like, everybody understands that. It's universal. Everybody must have been born with some sort of understanding of those concepts, or else we wouldn't latch onto them so much. He's like, so we share them because it's universal.
Yeah.
We all understand the imagery. We all understand the sentiment. And that's our initial language is being spoke now through memes. And I was like, okay. But it actually got me thinking about it. Because I'm like, there's some memes that I
Angel
really
language.
connect to.
Yeah,
and I don't want to
absolutely,
connect to them because I've seen them 100 times,
I mean,
but there's some.
shrug emoji is pretty ubiquitous. Like, I don't care what language you're speaking.
one.
You see the shrug emoji, and you're like, "Yep, don't give a fuck."
I think that's probably because the shrug emoji speaks so much to this apathetic culture that we live within. It's very easy to shrug through
Okay.
even useful practical facts. People will give you a fact, and you'll be like, meh.
I'm just saying, if you saw a whole string of a conversation and then one part of it was shrug emoji, you're like, that person doesn't care.
But we're
That
missing
person
that. We're
just
starting to
like-
miss I'm afraid that we're going to miss the meat and the substance of language.
Yeah.
The stuff that makes you go, yeah, like the art of it, the way of putting it
subtleties.
together. Like, I had an acting teacher named Jessica Vanderveen, and she used to say, no, you got to go back in and you got to find the meat of everything. You got to like find the meat in it, like the stuff that makes everybody go, She's like, she's like how modern MCs, when people hear a new song from a really, really good MC and it connects with them, they're in their car or they're in the audience or wherever, and they go, and everyone goes, because it's so good.
Right.
The way that they put that phrase is so good.
Right.
She's like, back in the day when Shakespeare said she gets no treats for her lips with sweet meats tainted are, that wasn't just a throwaway line from Romeo and Juliet. That was everybody in the audience going,
Oh, shit. What? Yeah.
You said what,
Yeah.
Bard? Like, seriously? Bard. And, like, the shrugged emoji just does not convey
It does not convey
any
that.
depth or any, like...
You lose so much of that. You know what, though? I'd be remiss right now if I didn't get to talk to you a little bit about battle rap. And
Sure.
You
Love
perfectly
it.
segued the MC conversation.
Love it.
Excellent. So, look, I've been producing for a long time, but
Yep.
within producing, I have had such an affinity for battle rap. I used to do a little bit of freestyle battles back in the day.
Yep.
Won a few here and there, but the my total appreciation for that culture comes from just being a pure fan of it at this stage. Like I'm not jumping in there. I'm not doing nothing. So
But don't you wish you could?
sometimes I like to think about, like I've had some.
Who would you battle?
Well-
What would you say against them?
I've had artists I work with
Quasi.
because I'm producing them so well, like I produce them in a way that they say stuff to me like, oh, you're my Freddie Roach and shit like that. And
Yeah.
I laugh that shit off. But then I think about like man, if I could be a Freddie Roach to like a Pat Stay,
Yeah.
or Dirt, like Dirtbag Dan, friend of the show, like he was fucking here recently and stuff like that. Like these guys, they don't need that. They're already on some like
Of course.
astral tier. Like they're just insane. But I like to look at the situation for what it is right now, and I guess what I'm trying to say is my question to you with battle rap right now is,
Yeah.
who are you like? Who's your first click kind of guy? Like you see someone come out with a battle, you're like, oh, I'm dropping everything this afternoon.
Oh, I
I'm
base
watching
weekends.
this."
I base weekends around Pat's Day.
So Pat Stay is your dude, right? Is that
The man. I don't know how this guy is not a Canadian icon. I don't know how he is not woven into the fabric of this country yet that people don't know him like.
The only reason he's not though is like in the bubble of hip hop culture, because that's the thing. Like to you and I and anyone who's interested in it, we're thinking about like, of course he is. Like to me, Pat Stay is a Canadian icon. He's that guy. But to anyone else who's like, first of all, if you don't even listen to hip hop, trying to explain a group genre niche like battle rap to them.
Yeah.
You're like, you like this music? Yeah. What if I told you there's this type of music where they word fight, rhyme, like they're gonna rhyme fight the way to the best, and like the best guy gets judged.
Yeah.
And like, it just sounds weird, right? And then they go like slam poetry, kinda.
Technically, yes. Technically,
Kinda,
yes.
yeah.
But I'm gonna like.
Yeah. But like way more like yo-yos and like.
But it's so
F-bombs
it's so
and shit.
diverse, and there's so many great MCs. I just went on a big K.
You like Big K?
Oh, I love Big K.
See, I like Big K, but I feel like a guy like him is. I'm gonna just take this opportunity to apologize to the boys, but I'm gonna let you know that we did fill your cups, so you can feel free to drink and just enjoy yourselves. That's okay.
I love Big K too.
Okay, look at this guy. All right, now we got a three-way combo. Got a three-way combo going now. Okay, let's get a cheers on that. Let's get a
Cheers
Let's
to
get
Big
cheers on
K.
that.
Big K.
He's my favorite.
All right, so Big K.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Big K. I'm gonna say this though. I think.
Quick question.
Sure.
Have you ever had anyone leave and go to the washroom on your show?
Certainly, yeah, all the time.
I just did.
If you go though, you open yourself to criticism. man.
Okay, I'm coming back though. I'm talking
No,
about
it's
Big K.
Okay, you go ahead. We'll hold this down for a second. I'm gonna address that Michael Saavedra likes Big K. Hold on a second here. Saavedra, I'm gonna put you on the spot, son. You ready for this?
Am I going to offend a bunch of people? I'm pretty sure this is leading to me offending somebody.
Nah, I won't put you on the spot, but I will say this. Hey, Gerry Jobe is a pretty badass guy. I like that guy.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice dude, friend of the show. I'm pretty confident at this point. But
Have we had any people on the show that are enemies of the show?
sure, certainly.
Oh, really?
Certainly.
Okay. that have made it to
Certainly.
Showtime that have been on the
Big
show.
fucking Mike Saavedra here. Let's get a cam on Mike real quick. This guy right here, easily enemy of the show. Like future. I think actually Steve Kitchen once called you not even future, current enemy of the show.
Yeah, well,
On the show.
I called him asshole on
funny.
the show
Yeah,
as well.
asshole.
so
He's like,
Here, we'll
he's like,
cheers. We'll cheers in front of Mike's face. It's a good camera
sit
shot
there,
here.
yeah, psh, psh, bang, boom. How about that, eh, Jack Daniels?
Nice.
Right from the rep there.
That's love. Lee.
Oh. How about this?
But
though?
we're at an hour if you want to know.
That's cool. I was actually thinking we'd go a little bit later, just
Yeah,
because we had a lot of history lesson in there too.
Absolutely.
I like Jerry talking about you know.
It does. I gotta say,
background's
it
pretty-
does sound like Jack Daniels is a master marketer over time.
He's innovative as fuck.
I mean, like marketing wise, though, he obviously identified.
Think about that. It's
like-
the most iconic brand ever. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, even
Big
nailing
K.
down
the
the film,
Big K, one of the most iconic, brands ever.
the film actors and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It seems like definitely didn't stumble.
Now, did Big K invent the K hole?
Holder now wipes his head with a dirty sock. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna say this. So, look, I'm speaking from a fan of battle rap for many years. I'm not a guy that just got into it or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I've participated. I've known the history before the show. We were talking like how'd you get into it and stuff. We're talking like WRCs, jump off, Element League. Like we've been in. We can recognize. You know, there's a lot of knowledge in this room. So here's what I'm gonna say. I personally think that Big K is a very talented guy. I think he's a very talented battle rapper. I think that the way the crowd loves him is like a very true, honest point. He has these lines that really deliver well to the crowd, and I totally recognize that. What I feel like is the drawback here is within the battle rap community, not speaking about King of the Dot, KOTD, with not including KOTD. If you look at URL, it's Smack. If you look at like any of these other leagues, you know, within Dope Flop even, there's this idea in the general consensus of the community where they want to champion somebody. They want someone to like be the guy that can be unbeatable and beat everyone. And just like any other competitive sport, it switches all the time. Like we were talking a little bit about combat sports earlier. It's usually, you know, the eyes of the world will fall on one guy. Like right now, you can say like Conor McGregor's that guy. Like the people want him to be that. As much as people hate him, people love him. There's like it's pretty polarizing. I think with Big K, there's this idea that there hasn't really been a white rapper, street white rapper, who's capable of getting both white, black, and brown all on the same side in terms of enjoying it. You know, the culture in one point, because you can look at guys like Disaster, who's like one of the fucking best ever, just incredible skills top to bottom, amazing guy.
But he's I'm sorry, Karen, I'll let you finish that thought.
Well, just comparatively, I'm just saying that guy, he's transcending those racial lines, whereas like I feel like Big K's rise is like kind of a holdback to those like racial divides, where like people are looking at someone like Big K, and they're like, this guy could eat, you know, and they name off names, or like Arsenal, and they name all these, and you're just like, okay, like yo, he's fucking crazy good, but like I'm not putting him over dudes just because of that. Like there's a couple battles I've seen of him where when you watch footage online, if you're not in person, sometimes that doesn't translate same well in video. I recognize that, but like if there's some battles you see online, and you're like, that's weird how much the crowd is gassing up this guy. Like this guy is like you know, it doesn't, you know, doesn't translate. Like, you know who I felt bad for recently? If I could point out crowds gassing up people. I was watching Sharon and Bonnie Godiva this past weekend. I was a little late to it, but I watched it this past weekend. It was about 3 a.m. Just fucking cranking it loud on the spot, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, man, Bonnie's like landing some fucking crazy haymakers on Sharon, and like, yo, I like Sharon, like knowing the guy for a little bit, right? Like just through whatever, and like he's dope, and he was fucking it wasn't even close. I understand that, but at the same time, Bonnie's fucking landing lines, and like the crowd's just like not giving it to her, not that. Like it's like, yo, how about some fucking respect for like a battle rapper who comes into someone else's home town
Sure.
and battles them at the biggest event of the year.
Sure.
And by the way, she's a female. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like, there's just no.
She's got Carter Deems next
Oh, dude.
this weekend.
Do you like Carter Deems? I love him.
I think Temple Tap. I invented that. he's all right. Yeah, I like Carter a lot.
Dude, he had that line about, because he's had some seizures issues those last couple of years or whatever, and he had some line about, I'll shake that off or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn, and
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. The subtleties of lyrics, the things that don't translate with memes is like that. The meat of it, like what are you really saying? Like the words you're using, the choice. It's amazing.
And I think battle rap is maybe the final frontier of that, or the last kind of like bastion of that. I think because I think that like, especially like with my job being an ambassador, I'm out 5-6 nights a week, so I'm out in the club, and I know that when trap music comes on, I'm like, it just rips my soul out. Like from going to a place, like I was at the Waldorf this weekend, and they're playing like, I don't know, they're playing all this great stuff. They're playing, great Far Side tracks that aren't the main track. They're playing That's When You Lost by Souls of Mischief, and I'm like, am I really in a like modern kind of setting? And they're playing That's When You Lost, or Other Fish in the Sea.
Yeah,
they're not playing the lead track. They're playing like the B side. This is at the Waldorf this weekend.
Waldorf, yeah.
On Saturday night I stopped by there, and I'm like, really, like this is they're playing that.
There? So many good nights like that,
right? And I'm like, this is amazing.
Many good DJs
and then
right now
all of a sudden,
at
some point, they decided, okay, now it's and I'm like, oh
like I
man,
just hyped you, and that
ruins it.
You just had me so stoked that you know who those people are. I had somebody playing "Do It to the Crowd," and I'm like, I went up to him and requested more King Shamik. I was like, please, can you play some more King Shamik?
Damn, King Shamik.
I'm like, thank you very much for playing the greatest hits of Twin Hype and King Shamik. Can you play some more King Shamik for me?
Just fucking throwing this out
being
there.
a nerd, right?
Yeah, just throwing this out there. King Shamik.
He was killing himself live. He was like, more King Shamik. You're so funny. And then it was
Gerry Jobe, your mumble rap impersonations are
spot on.
Fucking
they got a spot in trap.
Did you like that I was able to hype you on a song you were making up as you were doing it?
I like that you had it in.
I think I actually have heard. I've heard.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that song.
Everybody's heard that song.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not joking.
But with battle rap, it's like you've got two guys. They're a cappella. They have written for each other, which was back in the day was huge. No, I mean I used to compete in Sound Wars here at UBC back in the day. And it was like if you couldn't when I got to Vancouver, I was a really good MC written, but I didn't know shit about freestyle.
Like
and
delivery.
If you could not freestyle,
right.
I'd get in a cypher and I'd spit some bars, and guys would be like, yeah, okay, that's good written stuff, but they'd be like, other guys would be like, doing the palm gesture to me, like, who is this kid? Like,
writtens.
Get out of here with your writtens. And it was like, okay, now you got to learn how to freestyle. But
now you'd be a god.
That's why when I saw Pat in the Elements League, and I saw him in the Elements League, I was like, oh my God, there's a place for me to compete with writtens, and it's not whack.
Yeah. Not only is it not whack, it's expected.
It's expected. And now it's like all these angles and all this other stuff. I don't know. For me, I don't like it. Like, okay, Big K as an example said, well, excuse me for actually rapping.
Yeah.
Right?
That's where I'm like, yo, undeniably dope.
He's not slowing it down. He's not repeating stuff. I hate how people like school bus, lunch kit, wheels on the bus go round and round. They repeat.
That's the thing. There's a Kid Twist line from maybe 1 or 2 World Doms ago, and he said he's like,
against
slow
John.
it down.
Can we call
Just
it
kidding.
dub doms?
Dub Doms, a couple of Doms, 2
Dub
Dub Doms ago.
World Doms, dub Doms.
He's like, if I have to slow it down, he's like, if I have to slow it down, I don't really want you as a fan, like that kind of
right,
thing.
yeah.
Which is dope, and that's how because as a listener, I'm like, I don't know, here's the thing. People are listening out there. Maybe you just casually listen to rap. I totally respect that. I remember a point when I was listening to rap. That's right. I remember the point when I listened to rap and I would listen to the melody of stuff, like for sure. Like I was like probably 13 or 12 when I heard it like that. But I listen, like when I listen to rap, like I guess because at some point you're so through the, you know, the door, like you're all the way past the curtain and you're like whatever to the next stage. Like you're listening to every single syllable, every lyric, like you are there. Like you don't.
Yeah.
So when people are repeating it, you're like, who are you repeating it for? Because like I'm fucking already with you. Like in fact, when you see crowds in battle rap and they repeat lines, with the crowd, I'm like, that should show you right there. You don't have to repeat nothing.
No, but what's happening now is that everyone they'll get to they'll do the setups. They'll be like something 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 something. Something, 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 and everyone will go crazy, and then they'll be like, run it back, bring it back, bring it back, and everyone's like, bring it back, do that again, or they have to keep their memory or flow going, and they'll be like, I said this on this, and then the whole crowd will be like, that punch, that punch, and the whole crowd will yell out the last punch. You know what was great is. Was unbelievable was Ness Lee versus Ines.
Yo,
he had the Michael Jackson Remember the Time where he did the he had to run that back 3 times, and every time he does it, the crowd says it with him. They know his line louder than he's saying it. Yeah,
that shit right there is exactly why I stick around and like watch it because like clearly there's fans that are capable of like A, paying attention, B, reacting accordingly. Like, do you remember like that's how like they used to start battles? They'd be like, please react accordingly. It's like you know, like they that's what I'm saying.
That was Organic's line.
That's right. And that's what's missing from like those Sharon Bonnie Godiva battles is like they have like this kind of weird aesthetic to it where it's like, look, we're just gonna do the battle. Like actually, to tell you the truth, I'm actually a fan of like the pre and post interview thing because that's really how you develop like
the story,
character
for sure.
Like I don't know, like for what it is, we're huge fans of pro wrestling here. We're huge fans of combat sports in general. The narrative is what's important to me. The narrative behind it, like even everything we've talked about Jack Daniels earlier today. Yeah, Jack Daniels. Fantastic product, right?
Pure narrative.
But
narrative, what's the story? What's the narrative behind it?
The narrative.
How do we
get
like, to hear it? Right?
Exactly.
If it doesn't have that, it's just It's just a whiskey.
Right.
You know, it's just whiskey.
Right.
It's a whiskey.
Right. But the narrative behind that whiskey is like exactly like it stands on its own as a product. But then like you're like once you know the narrative, it's like oh my god, like that's what makes.
But
it
that's the story, right? Like, and that's the thing. I'm not an ambassador. I'm a storyteller. I'm carrying this story on my shirt. I wear this. I wear this story. I'm to tell this story. But this story is on everybody's shirts. This story is on your favorite rock and roll album. This story could be.
Well, exactly. But now imagine...
Could be your story.
Imagine in
battle rap... It could be your story, right?
Now imagine... Let's switch this to battle rap. So let's say we have an iconic product within battle rap, which I think we do within KOTD.
Yeah.
Now imagine the idea, instead of doing commercial spots like Our Town, imagine they're like, no, we're just going to go right to the product. Right. So now like they do battles. I can appreciate the fact that, they're like 15, 20 minutes long or whatever.
Right.
You can't give me 3 minutes of an intro and 5 minutes of post battle. Or like another thing I really hate is like the lack of judging nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I hate that people are like, oh, so and so 3-0'd him or like so and so 8'd him, like no problem. I think to myself, I'm like, you got to be fucking crazy.
The few that I went to when it was just like with you here in the city.
Yeah, that's the way
I could not like get into it. Mostly because it's like the battle of the bands concept where it's like, oh man, like I brought like fucking 9 or 10 of my friends and they all cheered like, loudly, but it was just like me and him. He was way better than most of those guys that were up there and like just floored them. But I'm the only guy that came with him that night. So I don't sound as loud as like those 15 dickheads in the corner.
So I get this like San Jose second round exit.
Yeah.
Right? So you squeaked out the first win.
That's the kind of crap where like...
That's the thing. Okay, but let's take that back. Let's take that back to what I was saying earlier. You have to be, and this is why I look at people and I'm like, you know what I hate in battle rap? I hate when people stop and they're oh, you're all sleeping on me. You're all sleeping on me. It's like, no, what you said wasn't hot. And in fact, you just acknowledged what you said wasn't hot by acknowledging the fact that nobody got behind you. You have to be an MC. You have, move the crowd. Like, get out there and move the crowd. If you're the most hated, look, Pat Stay's been the heel. Disaster's been the heel. Everybody's been the heel, but they've turned around and said, well, I can get this crowd. But you have to steal the crowd. You have to get out there and steal the crowd.
That's 100% right.
Right? And then there's people that you hate on for actually stealing the crowd. Like, there's people like Joe and I, where he's a very divisive character in hip-hop and in battle rap. But in some stuff, he's like, people are like, oh, giving him way too much credit.
Too much credit.
Way too much for something so basic.
Yeah.
And then other stuff where he says something really, really dope, and you're like, oh, and then they don't give him credit. So it's like, but
how do you feel about that guy personally? How do you feel about Joe and I? Because, like, my own opinion about him is I can't get beyond his voice.
He thinks honestly, that dude thinks he's talking in meta 4, 5s, and 6s. Like, he thinks he's like way beyond. You're not way beyond. You're just looking at the lowest common denominator and going 2 steps above that.
I feel like
and that's acknowledged as being genius.
Good enough. Yeah.
It's
Good enough.
Not. It's not.
I remember
do I appreciate him as a performer? Do I want to see him? Go up against Daylight? Yeah, but
Sure.
Daylight's the same thing. I'm like,
Daylight's the same thing where I'm like you were incredibly dope in this one aspect of
in
hip-hop,
one pocket.
the one pocket, but as soon as you get out of it, you do these
That's
antics that no one gives a shit about.
I'm like that on some battles with Arsenal too. But I watched Arsenal during Cortez versus Cortez today, and it was crickets the whole time.
I haven't watched that yet, but
cricket fest. It was
that's why I didn't watch it yet.
It was all. But Arsenal brought it. I followed Arsenal for all 3 rounds, and I was like, yeah, dude, you just there you go. That's good, consistent writing. Mm-hmm. But these guys, sometimes they just don't put forth the effort, or they put forth the effort based on their view of a lowest common denominator in the audience and going, I'm going to just talk about Genesis and the Bible and Exodus. And they're flipping through Bible for quotations and then looking at schemes and trying to put something together that's going to wow that guy. And then if it doesn't, they go, oh, it's over your heads.
Yeah.
It's all over your heads. I'm way beyond
Y'all
here.
get that next time.
Y'all get that. Rewind the tape. We'll watch it at home. You'll get that.
You said earlier, like, the thing you hate is, like, when they like, oh, y'all sleeping on me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, the thing I hate the most is when they go, really? Yes, really.
Yeah, really. That sucked.
Yeah, really. I wish you did better.
Yeah, and especially when you slowed it down and repeated yourself twice, we still didn't think it was that hot.
That's the thing, like...
That doesn't seem with the spirit of battle rap, in my opinion. And I haven't seen this, obviously, but, like, the notion of, like, a predetermined burn. Like, you've been planning it. Like, maybe you busted out.
I mean,
but
originally,
like maybe I'm way off base.
Well, no, it's not that off base. Like, what you're describing is, like, how it was. Like, that's how it used to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, nowadays...
I see.
Like, we're talking about... It's funny, we say this a lot, but, like, the best comparative value in battle rap nowadays is MMA. It's the best way to describe it. Because you have cards, you have promotions, you have interviews, you have people that are, like, drawing more than other people.
So they've been thinking out their move.
Here's the other thing. Along with MMA, when you first started out, you had this dude's crazy style and that dude's laid back style versus this dude's cool cadence versus this guy's freestyle ability. And now it's all become, okay, we all have to fit in this sort of format where it's like, okay, now I'm going to do gun bars and I have to, like, show you how big my ratchet is.
Yeah.
And
do you remember when this is one of my favorite moments ever in the 2-on-2, Grizzlemania 2, I think.
Okay.
It was. And it's like Fresco and Real Deal versus Franchise and Star Eater, formerly known as...
I hate that dude.
Well, I love that guy.
I hate
That's
that
the thing.
dude.
That's I love him.
That dude is so...
Fresco does, like, the big gun bar. Something about Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
He pulls out he's like, pull out that Ratchet and Clank. And the rebuttal of that is perfect. It's just like, yo, what kind of gun is this? Right? It's just like what kind of gun is, like,
a bow gun?
Yeah,
it's like
bow gun.
DNA letting the machete spray.
Exactly. Let the machete spray. What?
It's like, what?
DNA is his own fucking topic for sure. But, like,
yeah, he's...
I guess, like,
a mixed up young Cool J.
To kind of pull things into perspective, though, I think what we're saying is we both appreciate true lyrics for what they are. We appreciate strong deliveries and strong performances from MCs. I don't really think there's any room out there in this climate where, like, look, just in podcasts, there's a quadrillion podcasts out there. You can choose anything. If you watch us every week, God love you. You're the fucking best.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at like battle rap, dude, you're already fighting with everyone that just listens to music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you already have to be that much more fucking compelling, that much more entertaining. And that's why originally when you're like Pat Stay, in my opinion, he's a first click kind of guy. Like I see Pat Stay
base
battle,
weekends
I'm
around
like,
him.
a fucking rates. Like, you got a pay-per-view coming up? Dude, I plan that shit just like I watch the UFC. I'm like, oh, 205 in New York's going to be crazy? Fuck yeah. Oh, do you know this is coming up? Blackout's coming out? This kind of thing. Like, I watch it like that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, you know, like Pat hasn't let me down in certain things, like the Serious Jones battle. I was like, what are you doing?
See,
right?
That, like, yeah, even that, like,
But still, like, there's guys like him that can be so on beat. Like his third against Calico is brilliant. Like, he does so many things that have such great, like, when he breaks into cadences and he has stuff that I can flow to, and then he switches and does all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, now as an MC, from an MC perspective, you've got that factor.
Yeah.
You've got me going, right? Like, you've got me going, oh my God, like, you know, you've got my jaw on the floor. Sharon has a couple of those moments.
Couple of them.
But
not as consistently as I
not
want.
as consistently.
No,
Like, he's got
like,
like way too much in his in everything, and then he's trying. I don't know.
I find Sharon to be too predictable most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, just as a writer. I'm sure, like, people that don't write any type of music or any rhymes or anything.
Which is ironic, because he's best when he's unpredictable.
Which is amazing. His freestyle games, and that's one thing. I'm like, whoa, because sometimes I reevaluate what he's freestyling, and I think to myself, this guy is like some alien life form. Like, he's got some other fucking thing. But then when I check out his writtens, like, some of the stuff he did versus Bonnie, I was like, I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as
Like,
your setup
cheap,
comes in,
that's,
that kind of thing. It's the same as, like, within comedy. Within comedy, and you're, like, setting up punchlines, you have this, like, there's going to be this, like, formula where it's, like,
Sure.
beat, punchline.
But there's a difference
beat,
between like Larry the Cable Guy and Stephen Wright.
fucking amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. On
Do you
the
know what I
spectrum
mean?
of that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, somewhere within that exact comedian spectrum you just laid out, Stephen Wright, unbelievably
That's not
fucking
just Larry the
original.
Cable Guy. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, but like, no, like Larry
there's
the
like
Cable
a
Guy,
highbrow sort of like
right? And then there's like this very predictable.
My issue is with the battle
Yeah.
rappers who think they're being highbrow, like guys like Jonai or guys like
Yeah.
like think about it. And it's like, no, we didn't have to think about it, nor did you have to repeat it. We got it the first time, and it sucked. Bring back SoulCon.
Temple Tap. I invented that.
Right?
That's what makes that dope.
Right?
Yeah.
Even Head Ice, I like him because he's like, he'll get weird.
Yeah, I love Head Ice because you know
Ice.
Man, you know why I love Head Ice? And this might sound like whatever. Like, I kind of always liked him, but the thing that really endeared me to Head Ice was when he battled Pat Stay, and Pat Stay was doing that, like, shit, I remember we used to drink 40s in jail.
Yeah.
That kind of shit. And I remember watching that and thinking, like, if you watch the footage, Head Ice cracks up and is laughing, is like,
That's a
like,
great battle.
dude, and that's what hip hop is. It's like, man, you just fucking you burn me so bad, I can't help but laugh.
That's word to Devin Stone. Watch Organic lose it in that battle. Watch Organic and Pat just go Organic. That's a rewind point, right? Because Devin Stone, right, is like the whole focus of the Pat Hollowhand thing, and then Head Ice is like, I put that on Devin Stone.
Yeah.
It's like,
Dude,
your old roommate,
Yeah.
sold out.
I fucking
So great.
I can't tell you
So great.
how well I relate to that, man. Like I love that so much, and that's part of the culture I love, man. And to tell you the truth, I could probably say, like, you know, speaking for these guys, I'm sure they're loving all this comic book, but like we could probably do a whole goddamn episode on
These guys have been very instrumental in putting this on the table.
Is that a pun? Instrumental?
To tell you the truth, Saavedra is a fucking Big K fan, and
Yeah,
you know,
right? Big K, right?
That's right.
Big time.
Big K.
Big K, big time.
Right?
And
It whistles like a Nerf ball.
yeah, that's right.
Yes.
We have a pretty good appreciation of this stuff, but like honestly, the format of this show can't contain all the amazing that you have to bring. And I have to say, we probably
We
just
didn't
have
even
to
talk Star Wars, comic books,
We didn't
movies,
do nothing.
nothing.
Will you come back on and
We
talk?
did Ian Fleming, though.
Those would
We
have
did
been all
touch.
better.
We did touch
We
Ian
touched
Fleming.
Ian
Will
Fleming.
you come back and talk comics with us?
Any day of the week, any week.
For real?
weeks. Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
love
love
that.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. How can people follow you if they want to follow you online? Is this a thing we can push?
Sure. You can anything that you do with Jack that is a responsible way and a respectful way of enjoying the product or working with the brand. Just hashtag I'm with Jack.
I'm with Jack.
Jack is, Jack is with you,
That's
and
right.
you're with Jack. So I'm with Jack.
Hashtag I'm with Jack.
If you want to follow me, it's really simple. I'm Gerry Jobe. It's G for Jerry, J for Jobe, Gerry Jobe, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and that's at Gerry Jobe, Gerry Jobe.
God damn.
Right?
JJ.
GJ.
I like the way you roll. I like
Yeah,
the way
spell it
this
with
happens.
a G and not with a J.
I'm here with Gerry Jobe
Yeah, Gerry Jobe.
of Choix Riviere.
Gerjobe.
And you guys are awesome.
Ah, come on. We're okay.
Eh,
We
6
have
out
a-
of 10.
Maybe it's
three
the
of
Jack
us.
talking.
Fueled
but
by
you
the
guys are
JD.
awesome.
Wait, maybe we'll get a little Philip here before
Yeah,
we
of
do our
course.
little outro.
Philip
So-
Banks, right?
Philip-
Uncle Phil, little Uncle Phil.
I'm Philip Banks. Philip Banks. Judge Philip Banks.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, you guys are amazing. Thanks for having me. And
Aw, man. You're a friend of the show now. I hope you know
guess so.
that comes with title of like anytime you ever want to come on, anything
anytime,
like
man.
I don't know how to do this.
Tuesdays are slow in Vancouver, and I'm free.
that. We'll bump other people for you. It's okay.
Or is it Wednesday today?
I actually don't know. Is it
Still Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Still
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I actually don't know.
Thanksgiving threw me off.
I had a
fucking
Thanksgiving
up?
accidentally on purpose last night.
Really?
Accidentally on purpose.
How'd that happen?
Well, it's supposed to
Well,
have
MD doesn't
Thanksgiving.
say thanks normally.
It's supposed to have
He just
Thanksgiving
gives.
this
He's
weekend.
a giver.
and we had a bit of a bereavement situation this weekend, and so like I had a fast. That's okay. He was a great guy, super good guy, had a long life. He's a very charming dude, and we love him, man. He's a good guy, but we like kind of accidentally on purpose had Thanksgiving. Didn't really plan on it, and all of a sudden I was like, dude, I got stuffing and yams, and I was like,
Right?
it's good times. I didn't think I was gonna have this till next week. Actually, this guy, it's his birthday this week, so this is a good little start.
Saavedra, say happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Saavedra, ladies and
Happy birthday to you.
Unbelievable.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Saavedra.
And the guy in the window waving.
Happy birthday to you. And many Jack.
That's right.
That's
Well,
right.
thank you.
And Jack Danielle.
And Big K.
That's pretty nice, actually.
And one Big
And one big K. Ladies and gentlemen out there, if you want to follow Intergalactic Interviews, you can do so by going to intergalacticinterviews.com. You can also follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. We're also on SoundCloud, but God knows how much longer.
Always don't cut SoundCloud until
Hey,
SoundCloud goes out
Just
of business.
letting you know, it's
Still
getting
good.
there. It's still good. Still good. It's still good.
I listen
No.
to many podcasts on SoundCloud only.
Enjoy your time then, because you know it's
All
coming.
right, all right.
But anyway, our RSS feed is hosted via SoundCloud, so we'll be on there until the end of time. But for the record, if you want to follow us, please go to iTunes, please go to Stitcher. That'll serve your
Follow
Mac
us on
or
Instagram.
Android. That's right. Even if you have a Galaxy Note 7 that's exploding, we can
They
definitely still-
probably
cease
shouldn't have
manufacturing.
that. You
Cease
should not
manufacturing.
have that.
That's what we call
If
it.
you have a Galaxy Note 7,
Just saying.
Put it
call
away.
for the fireproof box.
No, you can get a
still
full.
have that.
I think they're giving full refunds now. So
Yes.
But they sent you a fireproof box
Yeah, they-
and gloves.
they did
to
send
put your phone into
they
the
do
box.
actually.
I was on a flight from
Line
Toronto
with- line
a
with
week and a half
hummus.
ago, and they were like, and you can do this with your apps, and do this in your apps, and do this with your apps. Unless you have a Galaxy Note 7, please do not turn it on or
in
charge
which
it during
case,
the
leave
flight.
the plane.
Please, for the love of God, do not turn it on.
Identify yourself. You are.
You're not allowed on most flights now. I think.
You're now on a list.
You're not
No.
Well,
exactly.
in the States.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad they're taking care of it because,
It's insane.
It's all right. It's only like a fucking $7.3 billion loss
Yeah,
for them.
I'll tell you what, it's not a surprise because it's not the brand quality we can come to expect from Jack Daniels.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
150 years.
150 years of
Meanwhile, Jack
excellence.
Daniels will set fire if you light it.
We actually have a product called Jack Fire.
That's
if you
right,
wanna
brand new
try that
on the market, ladies and gentlemen.
They're
Don't
on
trust
Already
me.
established that that's what
give
they
you
use
some
to
shots
light
let-
fires.
But I will say this: I will give Big K any Jack product that he wants, including a
Okay,
Jack
Big
Daniels
K,
shirt.
you
Shirt
check
off
this
his
out.
back.
You know what? I'll reach out and see what happens.
Reach out to Big K.
I'll do that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow Michael Saavedra, how can you do so online?
Yeah, just follow me at the Saavedra on Twitter. It's probably the only place that I actually post things.
If you want to follow C-Mart, how can you do so?
It's
Do you
not
notice
a thing.
wait, before you say it, do you notice I changed it online?
I did.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Oh, you didn't?
What did you say?
So the running gag is C-Mart goes,
I know the gag.
I wouldn't follow me.
Really?
So that's
It's
the
not a
gag.
thing, really.
Yeah, but I've changed it online because I actually write his quote. Like, well, how do you follow him? I'm like, well,
I
C-Mart
prefer if you
says
followed
I wouldn't.
Boomsday Alliance.
That's
Boomsday
right. I
underscore
says
Alliance.
I wouldn't, but I would check out
Yeah,
Boomsday
Alliance on Instagram.
Yeah,
It's a great Instagram.
It is blowing up. So if you guys
Honestly,
wanna
it's
check
a
it out.
really good Instagram.
It is pretty good. It's very interesting. Just don't bother. That's what he really
Yeah.
just says.
Not for me, for
Yeah.
them, for everybody.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at MD_Boomsday. That's all across the board: Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, diggity blow. Please follow Instagram Intergalactic Interviews. It's one word. It's
Very
very
excited
easy.
for next week.
Super excited for next week. Super excited for this week. Last week,
So good.
all weeks. Thank you very much for listening to us.
What's next week?
Oh goddamn, we have
Superstar wrestler Kenny Lush.
the loose cannon, Kenny Lush.
Oh no!
He's wrestling in a 10,000 thumbtack death match.
What?
Yeah.
The Rickshaw Theater, October 22nd.
Are you interested? You should come with us.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, because like I'll
When
tell you,
is that show?
It's
The 22nd.
22nd. Yeah, it's gonna
I think
be.
I might be able
he's
to
coming
go.
out on the Monday. So that
We've had some friends.
will be great.
Friends of ECC Dub before on the show.
Cool.
Which is the local elite Canadian
That's fun.
Championship Wrestling.
This is
But
Wise
yeah.
Pro Wrestling, bud.
And we've also had Dub P Dub on the show, but this will be Kenny Lush's first appearance on the show, so we're very excited for this. Yeah, Dub P Dub, Wise, what is it? Wise Pro.
Wise Pro Wrestling.
Wise Pro Wrestling. Yeah.
gonna be
Uh,
a-
Prize
fun.
press.
But
P-Dub.
Very excited to have you here, though.
excited
Very
to
excited.
be
This
here.
is
Gerry Jobe,
awesome,
you're-
man.
Look at that. We did good time. Look at that.
cheers,
We-
Joe. You're
real
top
times.
cheers.
Good times.
Just
Really.
enough to run out of the
Mic,
bottle,
mic,
right?
Good
mic.
times.
Hey, everybody, it's right there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much
Thanks
for
for
tuning in.
coming, man.
We'll
Thank
see
you
you
for
all
having me.
next week when we sit down with the kinetic Kenny Lush.
Hold on, did we get his contact?
We did.
Yeah,
Did?
well,
Okay, sorry.
That was before all the preamble.
Preamble.
like a
Let's
lot.
have a cheers though. We end this right here.
Cheers.
Come here,
Cheers,
boys.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. We'll see you all
Great
next
episode.
week.
You did very well.
Love you all. Hold up that empty bottle for this.
Yeah, good game. Good game.
Good game.